Hey friends, Dr. Nixon here. Today's training, I'm going to walk you guys through everything about the gut. I'm going to take the most common gut issues that we see that are specifically associated with gastric pain or digestive pain. We're going to talk through them, and I'm going to walk you guys through how to get better quick. Really, we're going to dive into a lot of the functional medicine space and with the research and what the science is showing in the functional medicine world of how to get answers, what's going on in your gut, the importance of it, most importantly, how to get better fast. The first one we're going to tackle today is IBS. There's another term, IBS-C, irritable bowel syndrome / constipation. So someone who's dealing with, really, I think the easiest way to describe it is bowels that are all over the place. Some days they're really watery and really moving really quickly, and some days they're not moving at all, and I feel really constipated, and then that builds up, and then it opens up the floodgates. And then it kind of recycles, and it's off and on throughout the given month. Irritable bowel syndrome. So traditionally speaking, and again, I'm not anti-medicine, I'm not anti-doctor, endoscopies, colonoscopies can give you some information. Honestly, they don't really give you a ton as to why. Oftentimes the consensus is, hey, you have inflammation. I agree. Inflammation of your digestive system, of your colon, we call it colitis. Your stomach, we call it gastritis. That looks like things like acid reflux, diverticulitis. Would be another one. That ITIS at the end of a word means inflammation. So step one, yes, we can get inflammation down. So traditionally we would use things like steroids or something like that to get the inflammation down. But the most important key that so many doctors are missing and patients are missing, but they're wondering, where is the inflammation coming from? Right? And yes, it might be your food. And yeah, it might be food sensitivities or food allergies. Oftentimes we find that's not necessarily the root cause, but it could be a cause or a culprit of that type of issue. But one of the big things we do find is, yes, inflammation, certainly at the root of it. We want to understand, where is that inflammation coming from? As a functional medicine doctor, I definitely prefer to do testing. I'd much rather test than guess. But let me walk you guys through at least the basics of how we would frame this in a logical way to understand the symptoms, understand the cause, and more importantly, how to find some solutions. More often than not, when we run gut tests, I love using Vibrant America's. There's other ones out there, GI Map, GI 360. Those are pretty decent. Vibrant America I have found to be the most specific, most sensitive, and the most valuable test that I like to run. And what we find more often than not is dysbiosis. That's the fancy way or the stuck-up way of saying microbiome imbalance. What that typically means is you have bad bacteria or pathogenic bacteria, overgrowth of staph, overgrowth of strep, pathogenic strep, things like E. coli's, E. coli's, parasites is another big one. And that means you have low levels of good bacteria, right? So you have bacteria, things like Butyricum, things like Akkermansia, that are good bacteria in your body. But if the bad guys, the bullies, are beating them up, then you don't have much of them, and they're not able to create natural steroids in your body. They're not able to fix leaky gut on its own. And sure, maybe you start throwing bone broth at it. Maybe you start throwing colostrums at it, and L-glycine, marshmallow root, and other things to start healing the leaky gut. But if you don't fix who caused the leaky gut, then you're just going to keep recreating the cycles. It's the same way I feel about food sensitivities. Yes, you can run a food sensitivity panel, but if you don't fix why the leaky gut occurred, then you're just going to have different food sensitivities in 6 months if you rerun the test. So here's what I like to do. If you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, we're going to use natural antibiotics, things like Biocidin. This company is Biocidin Botanicals. They have a liposomal version of this as well that I love. Liposomal just means that it's surrounded in fat. It absorbs straight through your bloodstream. They also have a spray version that we'll use as a natural antibiotic or a natural antibacterial. I also like using colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is a precious metal. Precious metals are different than heavy metals. They're not going to build up in your body as long as you get the right one. 30 ppm, 30 parts per million or less is the key to this. This is 15 parts per million from Designs for Health. I like this one. Don't just ingest this stuff on your own. Make sure you're working with a qualified functional medicine doctor or holistic practitioner before you start doing any of this stuff that I'm talking about. But silver is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. You Lululemon wearers out there, one of the things you find in Lululemon is anti-stink. They use silver thread in their clothes to kill bad bacteria. So you smell less or smell better. If we find parasites in somebody, we will use some heavy hitters. I like Zuma. It's a Canadian company for killing off parasites. I also like Microbe Manager. It's Paramax. Most antiparasitics, natural antiparasitics, you're going to find some form of walnut hull. So it's green or black or red walnut hull. You'll also find clove and Artemisia. These are natural antiparasitics. So step one, more often than not, is we're going to get rid of the bad stuff, get rid of the bad guys. Then we're going to start healing the collateral damage. So this might look like replacing enzymes that are lost. It's definitely going to look like healing leaky gut. It's going to look like decreasing inflammation is step 2. Step 3 is where we add back in the good stuff. More often than not, people jump straight to step 3. They take probiotics. They're like, why am I not feeling better? It's oftentimes you got to start at step number 1, especially with IBS. And so this is where we'll add in things like probiotics. This is a spore-based probiotic that I like a lot. That 3-step process is the most common way that we help patients with IBS or IBS-C. And we have patients who have had IBS for years, for decades, do the gut test. Now they actually know what's going on. They're no longer shooting in the dark. They're no longer just guessing what's in their body. They actually have answers, and we're able to help them get better. The second one that we're going to talk about today is called SIBO. SIBO. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There's 3 chambers of your digestive system. How many? 3. Stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Stomach is made of acid. Right? Stomach is made of acid, so you have stomach acid. So food comes in, gets digested through acid. Step 2 is your small intestine. This is water, right? This is where water floods into the small intestine, breaks stuff down, emulsifies, all that good stuff. Step 3 is where the bacteria live. Well, where they're supposed to. In SIBO, in small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, the bacteria from the colon move north. Right? So the people don't do this. Maybe they do. They move from Florida to New York. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going north. When that happens, we begin the fermentation process. Fermentation creates gas. If this was a kombucha bottle and I shook it really hard and then I opened it, that's fermentation. Beer, wine, kombucha, etc. So let's pretend that you have bacteria in your small intestine. You will experience excess gas, excess burping, belching, bloating is a huge one. No pun intended. There are patients who can drink water and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm bloating. Just from drinking water. That's not normal. There are people who can work out. They're doing like jumping jacks or jump rope and they start to swell or they start to burp or they go for a jog and they're burping the whole time. Oftentimes that's connected to SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There's 2 keys here. There's a hydrogen producing bacteria and a methane producing bacteria when it comes to SIBO. All right, so hydrogen and methane. And we got to figure out which one this patient has. That's why we do the gut test. From there, we can start doing SIBO protocol. So we start getting the bacteria that move north to New York. They're like, oh, yeah, I don't belong up here. I don't really like it up here. Like the summer's fine, but the winter's not. I'm going back to Florida. And so they go back south. So they went back down south, and now the bloating goes away. One of the other keys that we'll do in someone with SIBO is we'll figure out what's actually happening in their stomach. Do they not have enough acid? After the age of 35, 40-ish, the research says we make less enzymes and we make less stomach acid. This is where we use things like digestive enzymes. One before your biggest meal is what we'll do typically. The last one I'm going to talk about, and it's a really simple fix. If you have had your gallbladder removed, this will help you. Pain after gallbladder surgery. Pain after gallbladder surgery. When someone has gallbladder surgery, a lot of times it's sludge, it's filled with stones, gallstones, there's inflammation on your right-hand side, it's shooting behind your shoulder blade. A lot of times they'll do emergency surgery, just cut it out of you, no big deal. Great, now your gallbladder's gone. And the patient is oftentimes left with still dealing with stomach pain, stomach discomfort. Feeling full all the time, feeling hungry all the time, eating food, especially food that has fat in it, and it just like slides right through them like a slip and slide, and they're not absorbing fats. And so when you don't absorb fat, it messes with your cholesterol, it messes with your testosterone, and it messes with your brain. Your brain is made of fat. All of your hormones, testosterone and estrogen, thyroid hormone, all of that is made of cholesterol, cholesterols, as is vitamin D3. So you need healthy fats in your body. But if you don't have a gallbladder, now you can't break it down. So you're like, well, what do I do? And so a lot of times they say, well, eat a low-fat diet or don't eat fats. It's like, okay, sure, maybe that makes me feel physically better in the short term, but it's not causing health in the long term. So what else can I do? This is where digestive enzymes come in. So one, your pancreas will work a little bit harder. It'll start making more enzymes to compensate. The other thing you can do is take something with ox bile. O-X, ox. Bile from an ox. And you can take that before you eat something with fat in it. It'll help to digest and break down those fats so that your body can utilize them for your brain health, for energy, for your metabolism, for your hormones, thyroid hormone, etc. Those are the top 3 most common gut pain issues that we see: irritable bowel syndrome, bloating and gas from SIBO, things like acid reflux, and the last one, gallbladder. I'll tell you this, if you've had your gallbladder removed, considering something like ox bile is a really easy first step. Some doctors and most surgeons will actually tell patients post-op, hey, you might want to talk to your primary doctor about getting on some ox bile. It could help you in the short and long term. I hope this was helpful. If you have digestive issues and you're looking for help, I do free calls all the time with people across the country just to help navigate and point them in the right direction. And if the right direction is doing testing with me, I'd love to coach you and walk through that with you. This has been Dr. Nixon with Twin City Health.